Okay, so it's been a rather turbulent couple of weeks for the Payday community, hasn't it? We've had some highs, we've certainly had some lows, and we've also had some controversies. Ahead of Jacket's release on Monday, I wanted to touch on a handful of things regarding Payday 3. And of course, as always, there will be timestamps for each topic in the description of this video. So if you're interested in some things but not others, feel free to navigate accordingly. But let's start off with the recent news that Starbreeze have laid off more staff than we were initially led to believe. This news comes from 80 Level, who recently covered the layoffs of, and I quote, fewer than 10 roles in total. It was said that these individuals were, again, quote, not tied to any specific project. And those quotes are accredited to a Starbreeze representative themselves. But under a week later, it seems like an ex-Starbreeze developer reached out to 80 Level to let them know that even more people had been laid off since then. It also seems like these originally laid off team members were actually tied to projects, with this ex-developer saying that 7 out of the 10 people let go in December were working on Project Baxter. Obviously, layoffs are awful. I'm devastated to hear that there are individuals who are working on a project one day and then out of a job the next, seemingly through no fault of their own. On top of that, it's really upsetting to see the lack of transparency from Starbreeze when it comes to announcing these layoffs. Starbreeze are certainly aware at this point that the community pays close attention to the goings-on within the company itself. I mean, just think back to when the Q3 investor report was released last year. We were very vocal, we made ourselves heard, and we got the acting CEO of the company to come onto a live stream. I don't know how often that happens for other communities, but I've never seen that before. All of this is to say that we pay attention to Starbreeze as a company as well as the games they put out, and they know this now. But in spite of this, it seems like the amount of people laid off that was reported was falsified, and the statement that they weren't tied to any particular project could also have just been a flat-out lie. This news itself is of course very upsetting, but so are the consequences that it's had. For those of you who might not know, even though I'm sure you all do by now, this news was actually the straw that broke the camel's back for Red Archer Live, one of the founding members of the Starbreeze partner program, who has now left. I highly suggest that you watch Troy's video if you haven't already, which will be linked in the description so that you can hear his reasonings in his own words. But I wanted to take a second to talk about this because Troy is now the second Starbreeze partner to walk away from the program in the last few months, Mario in a top hat being the first, and also making an excellent video which will again be linked in the description. It's tremendously sad to see that the current state of Starbreeze as a company and Payday 3 as a game is causing content creators who have associated themselves with the company and franchise for years now to walk away. I actually wanted to share that Troy's content is largely responsible for me getting interested in the Payday franchise to begin with, and his smaller size back when I first discovered his channel in late 2017, I want to say, is probably at least in some way responsible for me realizing that smaller content creators do exist and I should actually just give it a shot. I probably still would have started making YouTube content if it hadn't been for Troy's channel, that's not what I'm trying to say, but if it wasn't for him, and a couple of other Payday content creators as well of course, I certainly wouldn't be making Payday content. It's sad to see both Troy and Mario leave the program, but I really have the utmost respect for them for doing so. I think the individual reasons they give in both of their videos, which are again linked in the description, are completely understandable, and I really admire them being so honest with how they feel and stepping back from the program. Anyway, I wanted to bring all of that up about both Troy and Mario to say firstly that it was a pleasure to be a partner alongside you guys, and I wish you nothing but success going forward, whether you stick with Payday content as a non-partner or you venture into other new categories. Good luck to you both. Of course, it doesn't really matter how willing any of the partners are to stick around if Payday 3 is going to reach its endpoint. I've seen a fair bit of chatter about how the release of the Jacket character pack could be the final update for Payday 3, especially considering we know very little about what's coming after it. While I completely understand that line of thought, I never really prescribe to it myself. I don't think the performance of the Jacket DLC is in any way, shape or form a make or break metric for the future of Payday 3. I actually believe that Almir said on one of the most recent live streams that more things will be coming to the game regardless of how well this character pack sells, and I don't doubt that for a moment. That's not me saying that Payday 3's future is certain, because it probably is still up in the air, but I really don't think this will be the last update. Nor do I think that if Jacket sells poorly, they're just going to push the final few things they're working on out the door and then pull support for the game. I don't think that's the way this is going to play out. So please don't let the idea of this DLC not selling well, marking the end for Payday 3, influence your purchase. If you want to buy the Jacket Character Pack, buy the Jacket Character Pack. Don't buy it for any reason other than that. On the subject of said character pack, Dev Update 11 released earlier this week and ran through everything we can expect to come in Update 2.0.1, releasing on Monday. We won't go over absolutely everything coming in the Jacket character pack, as we spoke about a lot of that when the trailer first released, but a few interesting things to note from this Dev Update video are that the new set of Twitch drops have a Valentine's Day theme to them, and the confirmation that the Sociopath Overskill weapon can be pulled straight out. It doesn't require Bile to fly in and drop it off. We can actually see this in the gameplay shown in the Dev Update video itself. It's also worth noting that in this video, not only can we see the health and armor bars have been tweaked slightly from a visual perspective, as we can see that they're now slanted, whereas currently they're straight and rectangular. Not a major change, but it now feels slightly more in line with the rest of the in-game HUD. Slightly more noticeable is the green armor bar. I actually have no idea what this is. It's certainly not Armor 2.0. Green isn't one of the colors associated with any of the armor types. Standard armor will remain blue, adaptive armor will remain pink, and shield armor will be orange. At least that's what the Armor 2.0 blog post led us to believe. I feel like if there were any substantial armor changes or new armor types being added with this update, we would have heard about them by now. So honestly, I am assuming that whatever this green armor type is, it's something that has slipped through the cracks and made its way into this Dev Update video when it probably shouldn't have. Remember, that's exactly how we found out that First World Bank would be the returning legacy heist. It was accidentally included in the Dev Update video where they were showing off the new CrimeNet 2.0 UI overhaul.
What? No! I checked everything!
Along with the Dev Update video itself, we got an accompanying blog post that lets us know the price tag for the Jacket character pack will be similar to a standalone DLC heist. So that's just the DLC heist itself without the tailor pack or weapon pack as well, which for reference is around about £4 or $5. The blog also reiterates that the baseball bat overkill weapon will be part of the paid Jacket character pack, but takes the time to point out that this isn't part of a melee system update. I understand that a single melee weapon is different to an entire melee system, but I think the issue still stands. The first and currently only Payday 3 melee weapon is part of a paid pack. I don't actually have that much issue with this personally, and in my last video I was trying to get ahead of what I anticipated to be something that would go down with the wider community like a lead balloon. And although I have seen some comments about this decision from a negative point of view, and I think PD Lucky made a pretty good video on the subject himself, from what I can see, this isn't actually something that's ruffled too many feathers. It's definitely upset some people, and rightly so I think. I don't want to act as if I'm not seeing that side of the community, but I think a lot of the community have seen this not to be a big deal, as at the end of the day it is just an overkill weapon that you won't even have access to for the majority of a heist, and isn't even remotely comparable to Payday 2's fully fledged melee system. Of course, everybody is entitled and justified to their own reasoning for either being upset or not with the decision to make the baseball bat overkill weapon paid, though I'm not sure how I personally feel about the argument that just because this isn't a fully fledged melee system, it's any better. And I'm actually on the side that that argument agrees with. I think this is okay that this weapon is paid, but I don't think that it's okay just because it isn't a fully fledged melee system. In fact, I don't even like saying that this isn't a fully fledged melee system. This is a melee system. Without this weapon in the game, there is no way you can inflict melee damage in Payday 3. And as such, even though this is bare bones, this is a melee system. The reason I'm okay with this is just because it's an overkill weapon, so not something you can tailor an entire build to. At least not any build that you can flat out call a melee build. I also find the way that this blog post explains the difference between an overkill weapon and the overskill system itself to be somewhat confusing. So I'm gonna dive into what the overskill system is in its entirety on Monday when the Jacket character pack releases. So if you're keen to learn more about that or hear my thoughts on the Jacket character pack itself, consider clicking that subscribe button. And actually, this is where I want to look back on something we did last year in the lead up to Payday 3's first DLC of 2024, Boys in Blue. I set the goal of reaching 500 subscribers, which I honestly didn't think we would be able to hit before the DLC released, but we smashed through that goal in less than 24 hours. And then we blew past 600, then 700. So I set the goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers before Boys in Blue released. That was something I genuinely thought we had no chance of doing, but we did it. With that in mind, for the run-up to Payday 3's first major DLC of 2025, I'm going to set the goal of 3,000 subscribers. For the record, I'm not counting Jacket as the first major DLC of Year 2, primarily because it isn't coming with a new heist. I would consider the heist-bearing DLCs to be the major ones, but also because Jacket was initially supposed to be Year 1 content. So before we get the next heist for Payday 3, whenever that may be, let's see if we can reach 3,000 subscribers. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. That's a lot of subscribers, and we have no idea when the next heist is coming. It could be 2 months away or a month away for all we know. But you proved me wrong last time, so let's see how this goes. Last year, I said if we reached our goal, I would commemorate the wide C-stack image as a channel emote whenever I set up channel memberships, and I haven't forgotten about that. So I thought we could also set a reward this time round, though this time I thought we'd do something a little different. Leave your idea for a Payday 3 challenge run in the comments, and if we hit 3,000 subscribers before the next heist releases for Payday 3, I'll go through all of the suggestions and pick out the most liked comments suggesting a challenge run, as well as the most commonly suggested challenge run itself, and I'll attempt to get them done. I'm sure there will be a few other great challenge runs suggested as well to note down for a rainy day, but that's our goal this time round, and I think that could be really fun. And I will also just throw out there, Noli, if you happen to be watching this video, you are barred from suggesting any challenge runs. I have seen your Pain Day videos and want no part in any suggestion you may have. Thank you and good day, sir. Also, for those of you who play on PlayStation and haven't yet picked up Payday 3, the game is going to be free with PS Plus starting from February 4th and running for about a month. So if PlayStation is your chosen platform, you can give Payday 3 a test drive for the month of February completely for free. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks of the Jacket character pack and Overskill system when it releases on Monday. If you've somehow managed to miss the announcement of that character pack and want to learn about everything that's coming with that DLC, you can click the video on screen now to take a deep dive into all of that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.